So, you've made it. Welcome, apprentice mind engineer. Take a good long look at those gates. That's our workshop. Beyond that rusting iron, the delicate machinery of the mind, well, it's shattered, rusted over, completely seized up. You're here to learn how to fix it, so I need you to pay close attention. Your patient's sanity, and hey, maybe even your own, really depends on it.
Right, first things first, forget everything you think you know. We are not dealing with a little bit of sadness here or some minor worries. No, we are talking about gears grinding against bone. We're talking steam pressure building up to absolutely catastrophic levels. The substances we're going to use, they aren't just pills. They are precision tools, they're volatile chemicals, and sometimes they're like raw electrical force. If you use them correctly, you can literally recalibrate a human soul. But if you make a mistake, you're not just going to fail your exam. You will witness a meltdown on a scale you just can't comprehend.
Okay, let's get to work. Our first stop is down this hall, the melancholy ward. In here, the psychic machinery has just ground to a halt. The great engine of will has gone completely cold. Our job? To get it started again. But listen, this requires a very delicate touch. Before you even think about laying a hand on any of these systems, you are going to memorize the 4 cardinal rules of antidepressant mechanics. These are not suggestions. This is the law in here.
Rule 1. When you first apply power to an engine that's completely seized up, what happens? It can lurch violently. Antidepressants can give a patient just enough energy to act on suicidal thoughts before their mood actually improves. You have to monitor that pressure. Rule 2. These systems need to be spooled up and powered down slowly. You never ever stop them abruptly. Rule 3. Some fuels must never ever mix. You combine MAOIs with other antidepressants or you mix SSRIs with something like St. John's wort, you can cause a fatal explosion in the system. And Rule 4, these tools affect the whole machine. They can cause blood pressure to drop and often lead to weight gain. You remember these rules, or you're going to end up as just another ghost haunting these halls.
Okay, look at the schematic. This is the core mechanism of our most common tool, the SSRI. Just think of serotonin as the steam that powers the mood engine. Now, in a depressed machine, that steam gets sucked back up, it gets reabsorbed way too quickly, and there's no pressure left to drive the pistons. The SSRI, it's like a precision valve. It selectively blocks that reuptake pipe, and by doing that, it forces the serotonin levels, the pressure, to build back up. But don't expect this to work overnight, it takes weeks. Why? Because you're not just increasing pressure, you are forcing the corroded pipes of the brain to slowly, painstakingly, remodel themselves to handle that new force. And that, my friend, is a slow, grinding process.
But even the best tools, well, they've got their quirks. SSRIs are notorious for causing what we call circuit interference, and that shows up as sexual dysfunction. They can cause system bloat, which is just weight gain. And remember, you're increasing pressure, you're stimulating the system. That can lead to insomnia, not sedation. That's a really common mistake for apprentices to make. And most importantly, the spool up is slow. It takes a solid 2 to 4 weeks for that pressure to even reach therapeutic levels. And in that window, just like we said, the risk of a suicidal meltdown is at its absolute highest. You have to watch your patient.
And that brings us to the most dreaded malfunction in this entire ward. What happens when you don't just increase the pressure? What happens when you blow the boiler entirely? That is serotonin syndrome. It is a catastrophic, life-threatening, overpressurization event. This is a full-blown medical emergency, apprentice. You have to know the signs. Burn this schematic into your memory right now. The signs of an impending explosion are SRI. S is for sweaty and hot. The whole system is overheating, spiking a fever. R is for rigid muscles, restlessness, agitation. That's the piston seizing up under extreme pressure. And I is for an increased heart rate, tachycardia. The core engine is literally beating itself to pieces. If you see this combination, you sound the alarm immediately. There is no other choice. All right, now for some more complex tools. The SNRI, like duloxetine, that's a dual-action device. It increases both serotonin and norepinephrine. Just think duloxetine. It's got a double purpose, depression and pain. Now compare that to the older tricyclic antidepressants. The TCA is a clunky old machine. It works, but its wiring is all exposed and it shorts out all the machine's other systems. You know, the ones that handle lubrication and waste. This leads to total chaos. The patient can't see, can't pee, can't spit, and can't poop. It's a messy, dangerous tool, but sometimes it's the one you need. Time for a test, apprentice. Before we get to the most volatile tool in this whole ward, you need to prove you understand the danger. So a patient is being calibrated with an MAOI.
Which substances, if you introduce them into the system, are going to cause a catastrophic, explosive, hypertensive crisis? Think about it. The answer is tyramine. Monoamino oxidase inhibitors, like phenelzine, are the oldest, the most powerful, and yeah, the most dangerous of our tools. See, they work by shutting down the enzyme that breaks down neurotransmitters. But that same enzyme also breaks down tyramine, a substance you find in aged foods, like cheese, wine, cured meats. If you introduce tyramine into a system that's running on an MAOI, the blood pressure will skyrocket into a hypertensive crisis. This is an absolute contraindication, a fatal combination. Do not forget it. And finally, we've got the specialist contraptions. Trazodone, we call it Transidone around here for its sedative properties, is great for depression and sleep. Just make sure you avoid alcohol, because it can cause a total system shutdown. And then there's bupropion. It's a unique device. We use it for depression and for smoking cessation. It tends to be stimulating. And listen to this critical design flaw. You never, ever crush the extended release pills. If you do that, you release the full charge all at once and you risk a seizure. Okay, we're leaving the silence of the melancholy ward now, and we're heading straight into chaos. Welcome to the volatility ward. In here, the mind's machinery isn't stalled, it is redlining, swinging wildly between manic overpressurization and a depressive shutdown. Our job isn't to restart the engine. Our job is to tame it, to stabilize a gyroscope that's spinning completely out of control. Our main tool here is lithium. It's a powerful but incredibly fickle element. Calibrating it is a high-wire act. You hear me? First, the therapeutic range is dangerously narrow, 0.6 to 1.2. Anything over 1.5 is toxic. It will corrode the system from the inside out. Second, lithium levels are tied directly to the system's coolant, that's sodium and water. If the patient gets dehydrated or their sodium drops, the lithium concentration will spike into toxic levels. And third, common system jammers, things like NSAIDs, are absolutely forbidden. They damage the kidney's exhaust ports, causing lithium to build up. There's a reason this is one of the most tested on drugs. You need to master these steps. So when lithium isn't the right tool for the job, we turn to these volatility dampeners. On one side, you've got carbamazepine. Its biggest malfunction is leukopenia, a drop in white blood cells, so you've got to watch for infection. But here's the biggest gotcha for your exam. It makes oral contraceptives completely useless. On the other side, you have valproic acid. Its main risks are liver toxicity, so you have to monitor those liver labs, and low platelets. But it's considered safe during pregnancy. That is a crucial distinction from carbamazepine that you absolutely cannot forget. Steel yourself, apprentice. We are now approaching the psychosis ward. In this place, the very lens through which the machine perceives reality has been shattered. It sees things, it hears things that just aren't there. The logic engine has been hijacked by phantom data. Our work here is the most profound and by far the most dangerous. These principles are scribbled on the walls for a reason. You have to know them. These drugs work mostly by blocking dopamine, but blocking dopamine comes with tremendous risk. The first is something called extrapyramidal symptoms, or EPS. This is where the machine's motor control starts to seize and glitch. You get painful muscle spasms, a terrifying inability to sit still, a shuffling walk. The second is neuroleptic malignant syndrome, high fever, rigid muscles, mental status changes, a true medical emergency. And you need to be aware that the newer, atypical agents, while they're less likely to cause EPS, they carry a much higher risk of metabolic syndrome. That's systemic corrosion in the form of weight gain, diabetes, and high cholesterol. Let's move on to our final treatment bay, the anxiety and panic ward. The machines in here, they're not really broken, but they're stuck. They're in a state of perpetual overdrive. The threat detection system is firing constantly, flooding the gears with adrenaline and fear. Our job here is to vent that pressure before the machine literally shakes itself apart. Your tools here, they require some finesse. You've got benzodiazepines, the LAMs and the PAMs. They work by boosting GABA, which is the brain's main coolant, and they give really rapid relief. But because they're so powerful, they're also highly addictive. Now, in contrast, you have buspirone. It's not addictive, it's not sedating, but it works on serotonin, and it takes weeks to build up pressure. And finally, you have the old barbiturates. They also boost GABA, but they are so powerful and have such a narrow margin of error that an overdose is very often fatal. We rarely use them now, but you have to know how dangerous they are. You've seen the words, you've been introduced to the tools. All right, now it's time to put it all together. Behold, the master schematic, the unified theory of mind mechanics. This right here, this is your map to the machine. Take a look at the master schematic. See this? See how the SSRI pipes feed directly into the depression core, repressurizing the system? Now notice the bipolar gyroscope over here, stabilized by the careful calibration of the lithium engine. And look here. At this junction marked with a skull, that's where an MAOI pipe and an SSRI pipe come too close. That's a catastrophic interaction just waiting to happen. You need to study these pathways. You have to understand the flow of power, the points of failure, and which tools are required for each specific malfunction. This schematic is your guide. It's your key to everything. So the schematic is right there in front of you. The tools are in your hands. A mind is broken. The gears are screaming. Steam is venting into the void. What is your first move, apprentice? The first move isn't to grab a wrench. The first move is always to assess the machine. Now go. Study the schematic. The midterm is coming. Be ready.